I think honesty's always the best policy. You believe that? No, I was lying.
Good evening, taxpayers in the city of Kawartha Lakes. Here we are again, Doug.
Yeah.
It's been a little while. There has been an awful lot of, let's just use the word, creative corruption. Going on within the city of Kawartha Lakes by not only the council and the mayor, but the staff. I mean, it's just unbelievable what these people do and think they got away with it.
Yeah.
You know, like we're paying their wages. I mean, there's 160 employees making over $20 million plus benefits per year. Another 1,300 on top of that are making close to $140 million a year spread out to them. Another $800,000 going to the council, you know, and it's all coming out of taxpayers' pockets. Yeah. You know, and you look around, you drive around the community and you see all these dead trees that are standing, that are unsafe.
Basically, public liability problems. These trees come down and hit somebody or injure somebody on the road. That's huge liability for the city of Kawartha Lakes. And in turn, the people have to pay for these premiums, these insurance premiums.
Yeah, not only that, you could have lost a life. That's even worse.
Yeah.
No money can replace that. And I don't understand because when we had the county of Victoria and we had a lot less employees on the public works side, the dead trees were always removed and cleaned up.
Yeah, sides of the roads were always maintained.
Yep.
And cut right to the fence lines.
Yeah, ditches. And it's like the roads. I've been traveling some side roads. Talk about potholes.
Let's talk road maintenance, because that's a really big one for everyone. There's a master schedule for the actions we take and to look after all our roads. Every spring, we watch the conditions and enact those load restrictions on heavy trucks to maintain the integrity of our roads. Once gravel roads have dried out from the winter moisture, we can grade them.
I mean, do they ever grade a road anymore? Like, I mean, and yet all this money and new equipment you see driving around. But I got to say, when we caught them, we did that blitz on their public works vehicles and bylaw vehicles and seen a lot of unfit vehicles on the road, unsafe, not only for the public, but for our employees driving them around.
Yeah.
And we reported it to MTO. And our surprise, MTO pulled two of their vehicles off the road, took the plates right off them, Doug?
Mm-hmm.
Just right by you.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was quite an interesting thing to watch and hear about. And they weren't too happy at City Hall, I'll tell you. And but we're not done yet. Like I said, somebody's got to be the. I think you know how when you ever seen the Ghostbusters, I think we're the tax busters. You know, it gotta be. You know, I mean, we gotta be, because it just seems like we're the only structure within the city that has continually worked on behalf of the taxpayers.
Yeah, and we're interested in saving money for the taxpayers.
Exactly.
In the future.
Yeah, and we've done this. And it's not only our developers. We've got some developers that are good developers. We've got other developers that have, should we say, done some shady things.
He soon turned to other endeavors.
Und vergiss nicht, you dopes!
And there were some gullible ones who listened.
And got away with it.
Recently.
Yeah, and they get approved on their projects by council. Not because they should, it's because what they contribute.
But how do they say in the paper that they're not going to do anything from till 2051, and then all of a sudden in council, kick me out of the council meeting, okay, and actually pass it.
Oh, I know, it's amazing.
Unbelievable.
It's
Mr.
like-
Flatto.
It's like I was supposed to do a deposition on all our concerns that we found, and bring the council aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what does the mayor do? I'm not on the agenda.
Because we want to know. Thank you.
No way is this bill going on that agenda. He's not going to get on recorded and tell all the things that they've been doing.
But it'd be interesting to find out who is actually putting in the infrastructure in for his development.
Well,
Who is actually paying for that money?
Well,
paying that money for that infrastructure.
I bet you the taxpayers of the city of Kawartha Lakes are footing a lot of that bill.
I bet you they are.
You
And
know,
maybe this is one of the reasons why the roads aren't being maintained, and there isn't any money to maintain the sides of the roads, cut the weeds, do all these various things that the municipality should be doing.
supposed to do.
Okay, they've spent it all on new vehicles.
Yeah. Oh, well, not public work vehicles. Well, I'm seeing more of them now, though.
Oh, there's getting to be a lot of 1-ton trucks and 2-ton
That's
trucks.
what I'm saying.
With brand new, like, aluminum bodies on them and so on. They're pretty expensive trucks.
So does that mean, because that would have all had to been approved in the budget, and I don't believe that was in the budget.
No.
So all of a sudden they've come up with a lot of, should we say, money.
Yeah, new trucks.
New trucks and new buses.
Yeah.
Like a whole bunch of new equipment.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the budget.
Yeah.
It's like we took a boat cruise around most of the lakes here a couple of weeks ago. And on average, there's about 400 cottages on each of the lakes, on average. And we were doing the number crunch, and we're thinking there's 400, you do the numbers, then there's 400 behind them. And you look at the amount that the cottage people are paying in taxes, and it don't add up.
No.
Somebody's cooking books. There's just no way, okay, that when you've got the amount of cottages that are paying between $10,000 and $15,000 property taxes, and then you have all the inner land, the town of Lindsay, the other towns, and the rural population, it don't add up.
No.
It just doesn't add up. It's almost like they're operating with two sets of books, you know? And again, I guess until there was an internal audit done on them, an independent audit by an outside body, I guess we'll never know.
Well, I remember back when the census was done, and the gentleman that came around, and he was, with the census department, and he said that the huge development, huge amount of numbers of people have moved to this area. There's huge subdivisions here and there. And he says the numbers of people are way above what they were in the previous 4 years. And I'll never forget that. Like, the man was obviously knew what he was talking about. He's been doing the census for two terms, and he's seen what the growth is and what the growth rate is. We also saw that during the election.
Oh,
remember? We did the voting.
People, we had no idea.
Sheets. Voting sheets. We did all of the numbers, and we found that the numbers of people were way higher
than what the city.
73,000, I think, in around that number, and we counted about
92,000. Yeah, and left a lot out.
Yeah.
But getting back to, I thought a nice thing. I filed 80 complaints with the bylaw. We have this nice bylaw that the city has in place. It's called 2014-026. It's a clean and clear, and there's a list of debris that you're not supposed to have on your properties. So we went around, okay, and we identified all these properties for the city, for the bylaw department. They made me submit then more information for them, do their job for them. So we'd photocopy, and then we would email as well. So I go into the bylaw office, because the way it's supposed to be is when a complaint comes in, they look at it, then they assign a file number to the complainant, being me. I haven't got any of that. It's been a month, and they haven't done one thing in any investigation. I have no file numbers. In fact, we've been monitoring the bylaw parking lot for vehicles. They don't leave. They stay in their office the whole week. Every time we go in the morning, we go back at lunch, then we go back at when their shift would be over. And the 7 vehicles are in the parking lot every day for the entire week. And I'm saying, no wonder I'm not getting any file numbers because there's nobody working.
Yeah. Well, this individual,
You're just getting paid.
This individual here for the Citizens for Direct Democracy.
Oh, Peter Wagan.
Peter
Yes.
Wagan, yeah, he filed something with the town,
Yep.
and he never got any response.
No.
It's funny. I know a lot of residents in the city of Quaff Lakes, and Tracy Richardson, as to this paper here. She says that she has opened up a new...
As counselors, we know there's a range of service requests that you have. You'll receive a tracking number and an email when the issue has been addressed. Now we want to hear from you. How was your service request handled?
Website, YouTube, so that she can address all the concerns of the public. The public has actually asked her on many occasions, what about charging for water that you're not hooked up to? That is an interesting subject, okay, which all the councillors in the city of Coatha Lakes have neglected to get back to people within the organization, being billed, as well as myself. And I'm waiting for a reply. I have been waiting patiently for a reply. I'm losing my patience.
But there's a lot deeper stuff going on too.
But how do you say to the public, okay, on the paper, that you're responsible as the assistant mayor to address all these concerns and never reply?
She doesn't. I send her an email on behalf of the association and asked a lot of questions in regards to what they're doing at City Hall, the debt, and a whole bunch. Never got a reply from our good deputy mayor. I never got a reply from the clerk on whether or not the city has to follow the same bylaws that the taxpayers have to follow.
Well, those bylaws, like that property that the town owns north of the jail on 36, that's an absolute disgrace. And the farmers in the area have to put up with all that weed and all those weeds blowing over on their property. That farmer is also myself. It's very interesting that they've neglected the responsibility. That's wild carrot. That wild carrot is very evasive. It spreads all through everything. And this is another interesting thing, is that, again, as Tracy Richardson says about roads and maintenance and all that, the size of the roads, I've never ever seen them so bad.
No.
The wild carrot is all through everything. It has not been maintained. And that wild carrot goes through all the farmland.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, somebody could have a newly seeded hayfield, and they don't give it in. Nope. Okay, it just goes all through everybody's field. Shouldn't they be responsible?
Well, it's like what Aaron said to me. If they can put off the complaints for another month, well, then it's too late to do anything.
Yeah.
And this seems what their whole pattern is. If for the last 20 years, they say the last 10 years, people file complaints, they just ignore them. Unless they don't like that person that somebody files a complaint on, then you get a knock on the door real fast.
But it's easy to ignore.
Oh, they just ignore. And I still keep coming back to the fact, I mean, these people work for us. We don't work for them. They are merely caretakers of our assets in the city of Kawartha Lakes.
We're shareholders. We're all shareholders. It's 76,900 people in the city of Kawartha Lakes are all shareholders within the assets of the city of Kawartha Lakes.
Yep.
And the city staff and people that work for the city of Kawartha Lakes are responsible to look after our assets
and
theirs, and as well theirs.
But I want to get back to one more thing, and I need the people, because we've served the city notice. They've been using what they call disguised expropriation on people's properties, where they've gone in, they've changed the zoning, they've changed the usages.
To be a hair salon, if you want to change that if you want to do any other business there, you have to apply for a zoning change. Do you know if that has been addressed at all? I don't know if it's the same for other other municipalities within Kawartha Lakes, but I do know that in Finland that has occurred.
So, very good question. So that is part 2 of the zoning review when we get to the urban areas. I know the property that you're talking about, but that's in the village of Fenelon Falls. So this doesn't take that into consideration. One of the things I have to check, but one of the things I asked for to be removed and most of the bylaws that were drafted by County of Victoria staff on behalf of townships said you can have 1 or a maximum of 2 uses in a highway commercial zone, and we had a number of variances to that and things, and I always thought to myself, why is that permission? Why are we handcuffing people? If you want to have 5 uses on the property and the servicing can handle it and you've got enough parking, why not? So, I've asked, that was one of the list of issues that I had presented to the group. So I'm hopeful that has been removed, because that would allow, and that's sort of citywide, that would allow a lot more flexibility of use.
They've done some things that the owners of the property didn't consent nor ask for.
Through electronic filing.
Yes, and they've done these changes. It's illegal. There's been a number of Supreme Court challenges, all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada. Some municipalities have had to pay a lot of money back to property owners for violations against them on their properties. So what I'm asking, if there's any other property owners out in the city of Kawartha Lakes that have had their zonings changed, their usages that they do on their properties changed, restrictions put on their properties within the last 8 to 10 years, we need them to get a hold of us. It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
So either contact myself at 705-879-9758 or contact Doug at 705-328-1199. You can either drop in here at head office on Highway 35 at 3900. You're more than welcome. It's confidential. You don't have to worry about that. We are going to, and take this very serious, Mr. Mayor and Deputy Mayor and Council and CAO and Clerk and senior staff. We are going to take you to court in the near future on violations that you've done on my property and a number of other properties within the city. And we will get justice. For Kawartha Insider. Oh, sorry.
If I could just back up a little bit here.
Sure.
In regards to the questionable performance of the bylaw office. Recently, the city of Lindsay has changed the speed limit in town to 40 kilometers an hour. And we have dozens of cases noting that staff vehicles, members of the council, drive around Lindsay at 50, 60, 65 kilometers an hour, totally disobeying the speed limits. I guess they're part of the blessed few.
They're the elites.
They're the elites.
They're the elites.
The other issue that we found out and are still working on is the bylaw department has gone after people with clean and clear orders.
Yep.
And threats of fines.
Mm-hmm.
It's made very clear in the documentation. But then we also found out that all these bylaws do not apply to any department or any person in city council or city property. If we were to challenge them with a clean and clear, it's been made clear to us that they wouldn't do a damn thing because they are above the bylaw and they do not have to follow the bylaws that they lay out and enforce to the citizens.
See, and that's where they're at a very bad mistake. I went to the Minister of Public Municipal Affairs, and I went to the Kingston office, the officer down there. They have a difference of opinion. The law is the law. A bylaw that is put in place by a municipality has to follow and enforce that bylaw on themselves as well as the public. So, and that'll be one of our issues in court, that it's the same as the disguised expropriation they've been doing. So what they've been doing is changing people's zonings and the usages on their properties illegally. And we have proof of that on a number of files. We're dealing with that right now. I am in court against them. But we're going to bring the challenge ahead because there are Supreme Court rulings and case law that support what we're going to challenge them on. So, like I said to them, we're not only suing them individually, right? We're also taking their solicitor to court and suing her for damages and punitive, financial and punitive damages that they've inflicted on all of us. So that's why I've asked anybody else that is out there within the city that has documentation, because you have to have documentation, not hearsay, that the city has done this to you through their planning department and their bylaw department.
How to check that, Bill, is, as you know, is to go and take a look at your paper deed and your zoning on the property, and then go to the electronic filing and see if there's any difference.
Yes, there's ways to check. Most people don't have the detailed documents, but they do exist. The minute that a property is in the system, all the documents are on file. So you just have to know, building department, you can go there, ask if you're having any problems. We know there's a number of people in the community that are having continued problems with city bylaw and the building department and planning. So all I'm saying is it's been an interesting summer so far. It's not over. And to give you, Mr. Mayor, and the rest on council and staff, you better follow your own rules. You better slow down in your speed zones and take your foot off the gas pedal, because we're watching you. And we've got you on recording. So have a nice day. For Bill, Fourth Insiders.
A special thanks for the people that have cleaned up the community.
Yes.
Did the job that the City of Kawartha Lakes staff should be doing.
Yes.
Thank you very much for doing that and trying to beautify the City of Kawartha Lakes.
Yes.
I'd also like to thank the people that have been very, very hardworking and dedicated in the Minden ER. Okay, they have worked day and night to try and solve this problem for the people in the Minden area.
Yeah.
Very dedicated. Very thank you for all the hard work and dedication that you put into that. Thank you. Thank you this evening, and for Doug at the Kawartha Insider.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all, folks.